Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to do a little bit of lawnmower repair. As you can see, I already have the deck taking out from under this Husqvarna. This is a YTH 18542. There's plenty of videos out there on how to take that out, so I'm not going to go over that. The reason that I'm doing a repair today is because I have two mowers. This was my original mower back when we lived in a neighborhood. I had a very small yard, so this would get the job done easily. Once we moved out here on the farm, I needed a bigger mower, so that's when we got the zero turn. So this is the mower that I use to cut the main yard and to do the striping and to make everything look really nice. I held on to the Husqvarna and I use this anytime I need to like do leaves or mulch up or just do a bunch of stuff that I don't really have to take care of the mower, sadly, I admit. So I mow over stuff with the Husqvarna that I probably shouldn't, and this last episode is I did a little bit more damage than I expected. So in the backyard, I cut some trees back and I pushed the tree line back quite a bit, and I was mulching up with this mower, and I guess I left too much tree up. So I hit about a 1 to 2 inch little tree stump, and it busted one of the blades off. So I thought I was just going to be able to replace the blade, but let me show you why we're going to have to do a little bit more, and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So as you can see, this blade took a good chunk of that tree with it, and this one is a little bit beyond repair. And I thought, like I said, I was going to be able to just replace the blade. But if you've ever replaced the blades on your mower, you can see that there's this little, at least on Husqvarna, there's this little like flowered star pattern that fits just perfectly on the blade. And I've changed blades before, but unfortunately, as you can see, hopefully I can get this to zoom up. This one probably could still work. This one over here, not so much. So there's like hardly any of that star flower pattern there left. There's nothing to grip on to the blade. So there's no way that I could put a new blade on that. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to replace these spindles. And I got that on Amazon. There's a kit. There's tons of kits on Amazon. I'll link that below. You can get the original parts. If this was going to be my main mower that I used all the time, then I would probably go with original parts. But since this is just the mower that I use to beat stuff up with, I just got the cheap kit on Amazon, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. But as you can see, one of the biggest culprits, the biggest enemies, in addition to trees on our farm, is baling twine. So hay bale, the twine, the string that they use to wrap on that, yeah, you don't want to mow over that. It gets tangled up. It gets almost impossible to get off there. So you want to avoid that as much as possible. So without further ado, let's jump into this. I'm going to show you how to replace these spindles, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's that kit that I was telling you about. Yeah, you can just get one spindle on Amazon. You can get a pack of 2, or you can get this all-in-one kit. This one came with some extra blades and a replacement belt. I figured might as well just get it all. It was almost just as cheap to do that. You're gonna first need to you can do this a couple different ways actually. You can leave the blades on, which kind of make this next part a little bit easier. I went ahead and took the blades off. If you've never done that and you need to get that blade to come around, it's just going to keep spinning and spinning as you're trying to get this bolt out of this. So one way to avoid that, some people use a block of wood, especially if this cutting deck is still attached to the mower. I like to use a simple C-clamp right here. Just clamp that onto the edge of the deck. As that blade turns, it's going to catch right here, which will allow you to loosen that bolt, and it makes it super easy. On the other side, you're gonna need a little bit bigger socket. Some say 15/16. I believe mine was a 7/8. So it gets a little bit more challenging because as you spin that, this is gonna spin. So you either need to put the blade back on there or figure out a way to hold this as you're loosening this up. And I'm gonna show you how I did it here in just a second. All right, so. So you're going to spin it. So this needs to go this way, which is going to spin this way. All right. Oh, okay, it's still recording. Okay, now you can see I've put this blade back on temporarily. I've moved this C-clamp over here. Sometimes if it's really stuck, you may need to position the C-clamp on one or the other side of something else like this wheel or one of those, just to give you a little extra support. This one wasn't too bad, so I'm just going to use one wrench on that side, other on this side. We're going to take this top of the spindle off and we'll go on from there. All right, so now that we got the main bolt off the top there, each of these spindles has 4 bolts that keep it attached to the mowing deck. We're going to take those off next, and then we'll be able to pop the wheel off and get the old spindle off the mowing deck. Okay, so now you can see we have the spindles removed from the mowing deck. There are 4 bolts on each spindle. Some of them can be hard to get to, so just do your best to get those loosened up. And on the Husqvarna, there's these belt guides or whatever they're called. There's one on each side, so make sure if you're not used to how those look, you take a picture before you take them off. That way, when you put them back on, you put them back on the right way. So you can see the difference here on these old spindles that are just beat up, worn down, compared to the shiny, brand new spindles. So next thing is to install the new spindles back on, put on the new blades, put the belt on, and we should be good to go. So let's do that next. All right, see how clean and fresh that looks as opposed to the one that's been beat over the years. So hopefully that'll make sure that this works much better. Another thing too, this is a good thing to do if you notice any vibration, any weird noises, it's not cutting evenly. If anything like that is happening with your mower, first thing you can do is just tighten up these 4 bolts on your original spindles because they may work loose over time. That may fix your issue. If it's not, if you've had your mower for a while, if you've been rough on your mower like I have, then it's probably just a good time to go ahead and replace the spindle like I'm showing you in this video. In addition to the 4 bolts that are going to be securing the spindle to the mowing deck, we're also going to add some Loctite. We're going to use the blue that's removable. That way it just holds these on just a little bit better. So if you need to get into a tight spot and this just isn't working, I highly recommend investing in these ratcheting type wrenches. They make annoying jobs like this so much easier. All right, so now you can see we have all 4 bolts back on the spindle. They are in place, and again, some of these positions are going to be pretty snug depending upon your mower and how you're going to have to get in there, so you may have to finagle that a little bit. Some of the spots are pretty tight, some of them are easy access, but just do your best. Okay, so now that we have these back installed, again, it does take a little bit of finagling. You're going to have to move these things around a little bit to get those on nice and secure. Get those bolts on hand tight, but you're not going to be able to get them on all the way because as you spin this, the wheel's going to spin. If I flip this up, then that's going to spin these as well, and it's just going to freely spin. So the best way to do that I've found is go ahead and do what I've done over there. Go ahead and install your blade. That way we can tighten both of them at the same time in the opposite way that we just took them off earlier in the video. So what you want to do is to make sure that you install, let me set the camera down here real quick. Boom, boom, boom. You want to make sure that you install the blades in the proper direction because if you install them upside down, not going to be so good. So an easy way to remember that, they can be a little bit confusing because some of these blades look a little bit different. But these fins that flare upward, that's where you want to put them facing upward, facing the deck. And what I found is easiest is before you put the bolt on, just kind of match up that pattern. That one went on super easy. It'll kind of slide in the groove. And then just go ahead and hand tighten. Well, that slipped off. There you go. Hand tighten the bolt. And then we can secure both sides, the spindle and the blade. Now, as that spins around, it should catch as it gets tighter on the C-clamp, which should allow me to tighten this without the other wrench. We'll see. Okay, so ran into a little bit of a problem. That's why I like doing these videos, because I like to show you guys real world problems. A lot of these YouTube videos that you watch where these guys make these repairs, you know, they edit through a lot of stuff or they make it look super easy, which sometimes it should be, but a lot of times you run into issues or whatever happens just doesn't work out the way that you think it's going to, which makes like a 30-minute job a 2-hour job. But anyway, here I've got the blades on, they're nice and tightened. Check your owner's manual online, or if you have yours, for the torque for these bolts, for your blade bolts, as well as these bolts right here. And here's the issue that I ran into. You can see I've already greased these up because I tried to make it work a little bit better. When I put these to, I believe it was 70 foot-pounds of torque, these things would barely spin. Like I could hardly turn those at all, or if I came over here manually grabbing the blade, like I could barely get it to move. And that's not good because that's going to blow up your mower. So what I did was I kept these tight, super tight, but I loosened up those bolts right there, and now you can see these turn much better. So your blades should move smoothly after you get that on. And before, I didn't show this earlier because I was getting frustrated, but I mean, I could grab this with all my force and could barely even get it to budge. And I was like, well, that's not right. So maybe the manual's wrong. Hopefully I didn't do anything wrong, but just keep that in mind when you're putting this assembly back together. So now that we got the spindles on, we got the blades on, the last thing we have to do is to get the belt back on and then reattach the mower deck to the mower. Now, as far as your belt goes, your deck should have this little picture right there, and that demonstrates to you on the route of your belt around all the wheels. If yours is faded or you can't find it or it's been painted over, whatever, just go online and Google your mower's model number, belt diagram, and it'll pull up right away. So we're going to do that next and get everything attached back on and give it a test run. Okay, I am finally done. So I ran into yet another problem that I didn't record because I knew I would just have to edit it out because there were way too many choice words. The belt that came with the kit was about this much too short, and it was a little bit too thick. And I kept trying and trying and trying to get it to mount back on there. And I could get it mounted around the deck itself, and I could get it around the front there, but then I wasn't able to attach the mower deck to the mower. It just wouldn't give me enough room. So I would have to slide it out. And I was like, well, let me do it the other way. So I attached the mower deck to the mower, then I couldn't reach that. And I was like, man, it has to work, it has to work. I kept trying and I kept trying. I was like, there's no way this is the right size belt. So for like the third or fourth time, I took the mower deck off, took the belt off, compared it side by side with the original belt, which probably should have done before, and clearly noticed that the belt was like almost twice as thick. And when I stretched it out, like I said, it was just a little bit shorter than the other one. So clearly not the right size belt. Hopefully everything else is going to work. I'm getting ready to take it out for a test drive. I will link that kit in the description below. Buy at your own risk. Compare everything when it comes in. Everything else seems to fit perfectly fine. Everything else seems to be okay, except for the belt. But anyway, I'm gonna go give this a test run. Hopefully it works. Guys, if you have any questions, leave those in the comments below. I don't mind making mistakes because I know you guys make mistakes too. I'm not a professional, but I like sharing this learning process with you. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing and not seeing these other YouTube videos which seem to, everything just goes smooth, everything goes perfect, and they get the fix done in like 15 minutes, which if you've tried any type of fix at home, you understand that's not reality. So anyway, guys, like, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. Wish me luck. I'm gonna go give it a test drive. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.